600 years, an asteroid hit the Earth that had the power to wipe out any major city that exists today. Asteroids have struck the planet as recently as last year. Astronomy is a personal hobby of mine, and doomsday theories are always fun, and the most likely one is probably going to be an asteroid hitting the Earth. So I'm going to inform you of a couple that have hit already. The first is going to be the Chicxulub impact in Mexico, the Tunguska event in eastern Siberia, and the Chelyabinsk asteroid, which touched down in Russia earlier this February. Most people agree on what killed the dinosaurs. Liniers of Berkeley National Laboratory writes that an asteroid the size of San Francisco slammed into the planet traveling faster than a speeding bullet about 65 million years ago. This coincided geologically with the dinosaurs dying off. The impact site in Chicxulub, Mexico is a crater that's half underwater now. It's 110 miles wide and about 20 miles deep. This discovery ended the debate on what killed the dinosaurs. There was a counter-argument to it that some volcanic eruptions in India that were happening at the same time did it, but scientists ruled on the asteroid impact. The crater was discovered fairly recently, 1991, as a matter of fact. The effects of this impact were pretty severe. Anything in the general neighborhood of Mexico was instantly incinerated. This asteroid hit with a force greater than the entirety of the current world's nuclear arsenal. This kicked up a lot of dirt, dust, and debris into the atmosphere that ended up cloaking the planet and caused an ice age. Earthquakes were also a result, sparking tsunamis. Altogether wiped out about 75% of all species of life on Earth. Next up is the Tunguska event. This is the most destructive asteroid impact that was ever recorded. It did have the possibility to destroy a city had it hit one. It impacted near the Tunguska River in eastern Siberia. It was about 120 feet in diameter and weighed 220 million pounds. It hit the Earth going about 33,000 miles an hour, heated up to about 45,000 degrees. All data credit to Tony Phillips of NASA. It never actually hit the Earth, though. Most of it exploded overhead before it ever got close, 5 miles above ground, actually. It exploded with the force of 135 of the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima. After the impact, it managed to flatten about 800 square miles of forest, as you can see here. This translates to about 80 million trees. Just kind of imagine being in the center of this and looking around you, and all you see for 30 miles is flattened trees. The aftermath wasn't actually discovered until 20 years later. Pending weather and just the sheer isolation of this place, it was hard to get people to go out there. Another big problem was the natives. They refused to talk about it because they thought that their god, Agni here, had cursed the area and destroyed all the trees. They eventually got people to talk, and they interviewed a trader in Benara, which is a trading post, who actually saw the event. He was sitting in a chair outside when it happened. He was knocked flying from the chair, and his clothes nearly ignited with the heat. Turns out asteroids this size tends to hit the planet every 300 years or so. The next one, most people have probably know about. It was covered pretty heavily in the media back in February. This was the Chelyabinsk meteor that hit pretty close to civilization in Russia. It was smaller than the previous two by a good bit. It's about 80 feet in diameter, weighed about 11 tons, and because of the way it entered, most of it burned up before it actually hit the ground. The area it hit was heavily populated. It was about 1,000 miles east of Moscow. And Phil Plait, an astronomer, writes that it blew up about 50 kilometers above the ground, with a force of hundreds of thousands of TNT, shattering windows and injuring over 100 people. This here is a video that someone caught on their dash cam in Russia. And for whatever reason, the sound's not working, but there's a very large sonic boom that shattered glass in buildings and injured thousands of people. The remains were recently recovered. There we go. The remains crashed into a lake divers fished it out about a week and a half ago, and this is what was left of it. That little rock there weighs about 1,000 pounds, and it's one of the largest ever recovered. This type of impact happens about 1 or 2 times a year, but most of them generally don't get through the atmosphere in this size. Right. Asteroids can hit the Earth, as you see. You now know about 3 of the incidents: the Chicxulub, the Tunguska, and the Chelyabinsk. And there will be more. Astronauts Ed Lu and Rusty Schweigart of B612, which is an asteroid hunting foundation formed by ex-astronauts and physicists, have found 90% of asteroids over 1 kilometer in our local neighborhood, but they've only found 1% of these size and the ones that flatten Tunguska.